3 minutes to speak. Was there anyone else who did not sign the sheet who wanted to speak? No? Okay. All right, first I have Heather Friendly? Oh, well, you can come closer to hear you.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
apologize, I wrote this kind of quickly and.
Okay, no worries.
Don't be nervous.
A little bit of help.
We don't bite.
All right, so good evening, my name is Heather Friedley and I am a McHenry County resident. I'm here to voice my support for the proposed amendments to McHenry County Animal Control Ordinance, specifically as related to steer tailing. Steer tailing and similar rodeo practices should not be a difficult issue for any board. In steer tailing, a rider on horseback grabs a running steer's tail, wraps it around his boot, and yanks the animal to the ground. When it goes wrong, and it goes wrong often, the animal's tail is stripped to the bone or torn off entirely, a wound known as degloving. I'm not so sure it's always an accident, however. Animals have also suffered broken bones and required euthanasia after this event. It's already been banned in Nebraska and in several counties in California precisely because the injury rate is so high. I want to be clear that I recognize the effort that county staff have put into this amendment. They've worked to balance the concerns of residents, event organizers, animal welfare advocates alike. It's not easy, and that deserves credit, so thank you. But I ask everyone here to consider a different question tonight. What's actually fair to the animals? Is it fair to breed a living creature into life whose entire purpose is to be chased, roped, and thrown to the ground for a crowd's entertainment? Is it fair for us to sit here and negotiate exactly how much pain is acceptable to inflict and call that a compromise? If we're talking about a dog being dragged by its tail and the skin tore off, I don't think anyone in this room would call that a debate. We'd call it exactly what it is. The only thing that changes when we're talking about a steer instead of a dog is the animal's species, not its capacity to suffer, not its right to be free from needless cruelty. That double standard has a name, speciesism. And it has survived in places like McHenry County, mainly because tradition and profit have been allowed to outweigh basic decency. Tradition is not a reason to keep hurting animals. Profit is not a reason either. Common sense and common decency should be what guides this group of people tonight. I urge the board to vote yes on these amendments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next I have Cynthia Shank.
Yes. I'm a resident of Marengo, McHenry County since 2001, so I'm definitely a townie, right? I've been out in Marengo Township, and I feel it is a privilege to live in this area. I think the world of McHenry County. It's gorgeous. It has peace and tranquility, and I don't want to see that culture changed. I don't want McHenry County to have a bad reputation that we allow animal cruelty in our community, because that will bring an element of distrust for our government, distrust for our community, distrust of our land values, and distrust for our culture. And so it's really important that we have the support of the board to pass this ordinance. This ordinance has nothing to do with the agricultural community. It is about entertainment. And do any of us think that hurting animals is entertainment? None of us would think that. Certainly none of our farmers in Marengo think that. I know my farmers. And they would never be cruel to their animals. And they would be disgusted if they saw some of the shark videos showing young children, 10 years old, being taught to take spears and stick them into horses, which is our identity in McHenry County, and cows, and make those animals bleed so they jump. Is that the future that we want? Is that the behavior we want with children? Of course not. We must have these ordinances to create a safe environment, a positive environment, and keep McHenry County as it is, which is, a great place to live. So that's a real important part of this ordinance, and that's what we rely upon our leaders to do, to have the courage to pass legislation that protects everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, I have Jennifer Schaumelser.
That's okay. So members of this joint committee, good evening. My name is Jennifer Schaumelser and I am a resident and taxpayer here in McHenry County. I am speaking today on behalf of fellow living things who can't be here to do so. I firmly believe that protecting animals from exploitation and senseless cruelty is a fundamental collective responsibility we all share as human beings. Like many neighbors, I was deeply disturbed by the steer tailing events happening in our area where animals are subjected to severe distress and abuse for entertainment. Treating living, feeling beings this way shows them not 1 ounce of the respect they deserve. This is a profound injustice that must stop, and it's where this committee can make a meaningful difference. As I'm speaking, in this very moment, the problem is escalating. Right now, a property owner in the Woodstock area is openly selling tickets online to illegal events featuring bullfighting, dancing horses, and bull tailing. Operating a commercial business entirely outside the county permit system shows zero fear of or respect for the law. It proves that the Department of Agriculture is failing to regulate these properties, and our local farm bureau is choosing to look the other way, allowing bad actors to escape any real consequences while innocent animals are the ones paying the price. I want to speak directly to the Farm Bureau's letter of opposition. They claim this proposed ordinance will burden local agriculture and family farms. That is factually incorrect. The text explicitly protects normal farming, the McHenry County Fairgrounds, and state-sanctioned rodeos. Legitimate farmers have absolutely nothing to worry about when it comes to these proposed amendments. It is tailored strictly to stop illegal, unpermitted commercial operations. The Farm Bureau's letter also claims these operators treat animals with dignity and respect, and asks the county to find a mutually acceptable solution. But true respect for animals is completely incompatible with exploiting them for unpermitted commercial profit, and this proposed ordinance is already a significant compromise. Many in our community want to see our area outgrow rodeos entirely, yet this text explicitly exempts the fairgrounds and state-sanctioned events. The middle ground has already been met, and there is no further room to compromise when we are talking about basic safety, the rule of law, and the lives of innocent animals. The Farm Bureau suggests we also handle this through zoning regulations, but we know that commercial operators treat zoning fines as just a cost of doing business. Most telling of all is in the statement in the Farm Bureau's own letter warning that the enforcing of the rules at these unsanctioned events could create an unsafe environment for public servants. Let's take a moment and think about that. If the staffing of an unpermitted event jeopardizes the personal safety of workers, it is no longer just a land use issue. It is an immediate public safety hazard and a public health threat. Please pass these updates under the Public Health and Animal Control Ordinance. Let's please give our local law enforcement and animal control officers real fast-moving tools they need to shut down these illegal, ticketed venues before more animals are severely injured or killed. As a voter in McHenry County, I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Agnes Tierney.
Hi, my name is Agnes Tierney and I live in Marengo. I'm actually a neighbor to the place that is located on Bar Road and they're hosting a rodeos. I was actually a witness a few years ago of one of the rodeos, and I've seen the cruelty that was going on there. What I didn't really understand is we have our code of ordinances, and under the cruel treatment, one of the paragraphs says, no person or owner may beat, cruelty, treat, torment, starve, overwork, or otherwise abuse an animal. How come McHenry County Sheriff sends their troopers there to overwatch those activities there? If they're trying to keep the peace there, it's not going on there. Most of the attendees there are under influence. Most of those rodeos are taking places when it's really, really hot. Horses usually get some water, but not cows. They denied them to give the proper food and water at those events, also a shelter, and they're being repeatedly ran by the horses and the riders. Also, the riders on the horses, they're getting injured, not just because they are under influence, but they are running with the horses. So there's sometimes a lot of chaos going on at those events. So please take this into consideration. It's not just because I'm saying this because I love animals, but because this county doesn't need those events. Those people, before they actually start those events, they're riding horses in the middle of the street, in the middle of the core road, that is sometimes actually a busy road. We can't drive there 50 miles per hour. This is not a safe place to do that. And I'm sure this is not a place to do this in any of our towns in McHenry County. So please take this into consideration, the safety, not just for the animals, but also of people who are attending and who are participating. Shut this down, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Dan Volkers.
Thank you, committee, for the opportunity to address you. Dan Volkers, I put my personal address down of 20502 Delks Drive, Marineville, Illinois. I serve as the manager of the McHenry County Farm Bureau. Tonight we have a Farm Bureau board meeting, so I thought I'd sign up for public comment. My Farm Bureau president, Chris McKee, is here, who will be able to stay for the longer conversation, but just wanted to have the opportunity to address the group. I do want to say that agriculture is near and dear to my heart. I've served as the manager of McHenry County Farm Bureau for over 2 decades and in the Farm Bureau system for more than 25 years. I can tell you that the group that helped us put this letter together loves animals. They care about animals, and they want to make sure that we protect the industry in McHenry County. It's nice to think that all of these rules won't impact regular agriculture in McHenry County, but as written, we have real concerns. We hear amendments at every meeting that we've attended. We've been to the planning meetings, we've been to the other Law and Justice Committee meetings. Everybody has different ideas of how to address this issue. McHenry County Farm Bureau just learned about this ordinance last month. When we had the agritourism task force, we were able to work together with county health, with McHenry County Planning and Development and others to craft something that was workable for everybody, and we grew a wonderful agritourism business over the last 20 years. This, on the other hand, we did not have the opportunity. We had to rush to get to where we were at. Fortunately, we had legal attorneys, livestock specialists, and others who were able to review this and get this to you quickly, but our board of directors really, and the farmers of this county deserve the opportunity to have input in this process. As our letter states, we are asking for a no vote on the current ordinance and any amendments until we have time to come to common ground. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. All right, and lastly we have Steve Hindy.
My name is Steve Hindy. I live in Elburn, Illinois, in Kane County. I'm the president and founder of Showing Animals Respect and Kindness, or SHARK. And I'm one of the drone pilots that has attended 68 of these events in McHenry, Boone, Will, DeKalb, and other counties. I've watched over 30,000 steer tailing runs. And I long ago forgot how many hundreds of animals injured. You have a video, some of our video, in your possession, and I would ask that it be entered into the record and played tonight. Let your heart speak to you. I can assure you, and I can assure the Farm Bureau, this has nothing to do with farming. This has nothing to do with agriculture. No responsible Farm Bureau member or agricultural livestock manager would tolerate this kind of abuse. It's not going to happen. I'm acquainted with a former Boone County board member who raises dairy cows. And he said on more than one occasion at the official meetings, he said, if I did this to my animals, I would lose my license. Look at the evidence. I think you'll know what to do. I'm more than happy to allay the concerns of the Farm Bureau. We've been at this for, I don't mean to be a smart mouth here, but we've been at this for 5 years. I never saw you there. But let's work together now. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Are you asking us to play the video now?
At the earliest opportunity.
Is this part of your public participation?
Yes.
Does he have any time left?
He has a
He's
minute.
got a minute and 10 seconds. I'll pause it until Lyle gets set up.
Oh, it's over here.
It didn't come up on the.
I can't watch it.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
There it is.
That's a tail being ripped off right there. That's a degloving. Another degloving. So all of those animals that are degloved can no longer be used for steer tailing and they will be killed. Animals with broken legs will be killed. Another degloving. We could show you deglovings all night. In the last event that we report.
Time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Right, next on the agenda.
We have
Yeah,
one
we
to
have one
read
more.
into the record. It's not on there because it
Oh, I'm
came
sorry.
via email.
Yes, one, sorry.
Do you want me to read this?
Oh, sure, yeah.
A veterinarian, Robin Hadley, associate veterinarian from Mohammed Animal Hospital in Mohammed, Illinois, sent us a letter and asked for us to read it into the record, as it is probably less than 3 minutes. It is certainly appropriate to do so. I have not, in advance, I have not read this letter, so I'm reading it for the first time. So if I stumble on some words or mispronounce something,
Cow.
bear with me.
Oh, there you go.
In the Mexican rodeo sport coladero, a steer enters the chute and is quickly hemmed into a 90-degree metal corner by the horse's right shoulder and flank before it can balance on all four legs and run forward down the designated track. This positioning allows the rider to lean over his right side and grab the steer's tail, then wrap it around his right leg or boot heel and spin the steer 180 degrees on its hind legs and essentially flip it. This is a time competition. Riders are ranked based on how quickly they bring the steer down within the marked zone near the end of the track. Those who gallop towards the finish line with a bloody tail raised in one hand are met with applause. These rodeo steers suffer degloving injuries, tails stripped to the bone, broken tails, and complete tail avulsions. In addition to obvious soft tissue and multi-skeletal trauma, these steers are also susceptible to neurological damage and spinal cord infection. Cattle have 10 to 20 coccygeal vertebrae in their tails. Following a tail degloving, injury associated with coladero, many of these animals have lost flesh above the point where the last coccygeal vertebrae ends. In other words, their tail bones have been ripped apart. All mammals have similar nervous system. A degloved steer experiences the same pain intensity perceived by a dog or cat suffering tail trauma. I have testified as an expert witness in an ongoing animal abuse case associated with Caladero. My testimony was based on reviewing hours of video footage recorded by drone camera. In addition to the steers that suffered degloving, skin stripping to the bone, visible dangling coccygeal vertebrae, many were run multiple times through the event. After repeated runs, these steers were staggering and disoriented. These animals sustained numerous falls, body slams, and pressure as their tails were pulled opposite with a 1,200-pound live horsepower. Repeated trauma of this nature can cause cardia equine syndrome, a compression of the nerve roots in the lower spine that is associated with hind limb weakness and paralysis. Additionally, the competitor's horses may be gored, kicked, or suffered life-threatening fractures if the steer spins into and under them rather than 80 degrees away. These events may or may not be staffed by a licensed large animal veterinarian equipped to work on both cattle and horses. Steer tailing is not a standard ranching practice anywhere in the United States. According to the Professional Rodeo Association 2025 rulebook, which requires rodeos to have on-site veterinary staffing, steers may be wrestled down to the ground only once per competition.
Okay, oh, it's been 3 minutes.
That's 3 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then you need to read the Farm Bureau's letter, or no?
It's in the packet.
It's in the packet, okay, all right, okay, that's what you got.
Unless, was that a request to read it out loud? No, okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the.
My suggestion is, because we've got individuals here that are here for the purpose of items for A2 and 4B, that we move those, ask the committee to move those up on the agenda so that those can be discussed first and then they can depart. Going through Articles 1 through 7 for all the changes that are made could take quite some time.
Yeah, I just wanted to approve the minutes first.
Oh, I'm sorry. If we're going to amend the agenda, we should do that right at the beginning.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. I'd like to propose to amend the agenda and have Article 4B be presented first. Do I have
Do you make a
motion? Yeah, motion, yeah.
And well, I would recommend, I think 4B is going to require more time than 4A2.
Okay.
2.1, 4A 2.1. We can hear that presentation, then go to 4B, and then return to the minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so we're recommending to change the order of the meeting to 4A 2.1 first, and then 4B. Correct?
4A, yes, 4B second.
All right. Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. We'll first do the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the April 27, 2026 meeting?
So moved.
Great. And do I have a second? Okay, great. Melissa, all in favor? All right, great. All right, so we were starting with veterans and not-for-profit fees. All right.
Hi, Tina Krieger.
Okay.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
How's everybody? Follow me?
Good.
Okay.
Hi.
What do you follow me here?
Everybody, Dina Krieger sits on the county board.
District 5.
So just in case that wasn't
Okay.
Some of
understood.
you I've met, some of you I haven't. So nice to see you. Nice to see you if I haven't seen you. I've seen all of you. Nice to meet you. Okay, thank you so much. So after talking with some of my constituents, having conversation, especially on budget conversation, talking about permitting fees, the veterans have spoke loudly and shared, what they've wanted, and I've heard them. So I wanted to bring forth some considerations. Melissa, thank you so much for sending me the last several years of a permitting fee structure. I've compiled them, so bear with me some numbers. I'll share all my findings for you. Okay, so my initial suggestion is recommending the, instead of having multiple individual permitting fees, that we replace that with a single permitting fee for $50 for qualifying veteran organizations while maintaining all required regulatory reviewing, inspections, and compliance standards. This will not include or modify special event liquor licensing fees, which will remain subject to their existing statutory requirements and fee schedule. And I do understand that there is a fee reduction for liquor licensing for the veteran organizations. So my request to respectfully have the board review is the current fee structure applicable to the veteran organizations. I want you to consider the fiscal administrative impacts associated with these current permitting fees. Determine whether adopting a 50 annual permitting fee would better serve the department, the veterans, the public while maintaining all health and safety protections. And it is here because this is part of your bylaws. This was initially brought up at law government, and so we realized that it needed to be addressed here per your bylaws. Okay, so the revised fee structure would maintain all public health reviews, inspections. We would continue enforcement of all applicable health, safety, and food regulations. We would exclude the liquor licensing from the annual fee. This would simplify permitting processes for veterans. We would reduce repetition from administrative processing for both applicants and the county staff. We would continue to protect the health and safety of the public while recognizing the significant public service provided by veteran organizations. So the proposal maintains the department's public health mission while we modernize the fee structure at a very limited class of organization that historically account for less than 0.25% of department revenue. And so, thank you so much. Basically, I think that's a yes, and my job is done here. Thank you so much. Based on what Melissa shared with me, over the last 3 years, we had an overall estimate of 0.24% of public health permitting revenue, basically less than 0.25% of the department's permitting revenue is coming from the veterans. Some of the veterans that were shared with me for permitting was Veterans Path to Hope, AMVETS Post 245, Hopeful Warriors, and Joe's Wish. Okay, so the difference is from what it was, the current revenue is about $2,600. With this fee change, it would be about $600, and the difference would be about $2,000 of a difference of loss. So $2,000 over 3 years is unlikely to have measurable impact on the department's operating budget. Personnel costs, benefits, vehicles, inspections, overhead, fixed expenditures will continue regardless whether veteran organizations pay the current fee schedule or have a nominal annual fee. So with that being said, I suggested that we propose a one-time annual fee for the veterans. Again, this would de-minimize budgetary impact on the Department of Public Health and reducing administrative burden, demonstrating the county's support for organizations that provide specific and significant public benefit. The committee here can reasonably conclude modest reduction in the fee revenue outweighs the efficiencies gained in community value provided by our veterans servicing organizations. And as you know, they have provided service for us, and in my opinion, it is a lifelong service that we can provide back to consider. Some things to consider to compromise the approach might be the annual permitting for $50, which includes raffles, basic permitting. Liquor remains unchanged. Another consideration to consider would be annual regular fees for $50 plus a direct pass-through cost, where you can consider where the county waives administrative fees but the organizations reimburse extraordinary costs like sanitation, multiple site inspections, after-hour staffing, extremely large events over 500, and lastly, a consideration for threshold where events are 500 or over that are having 500 or more, or larger than that pays the standard fee. So, with that being said, as you marinate on all of that, my question would be, since this would be your consideration deliberation, what would be your next steps and sharing your discussion moving forward?
So I think before we can maybe respond to your question, I'd like staff to be able to describe kind of how the process will or would not change in terms of some of the administrative efficiencies that you point to. Patty can talk about what that process is going to look like, and then we did interpret in terms of the information that was provided to Dina, and I am very sorry to the committee. I hit the print button, but I think I left the copies of the information that I sent to Dina is basic costs that Patty put together for fees. We did them just on food program. So there possibly could be other permitting fees, but we interpreted your original to mean to talk about events specifically. So Patty, I don't know if you want to jump in and maybe talk about, or Cindy.
I just want to figure out where we're on the page, that's all.
Oh, so we put this under fees as part of a conversation, but there are no handouts specifically in the packet related to what Dina's information that she has.
I can share that with you.
Well, I'm just saying, I would like to see, is there something that translates to what it is now that's in the packet versus what she's proposing that I can look at on here as well?
No, so it's the fees, so like we have our fee structure, which we will be talking about tonight, right? That's one of the ordinances, but this is a specific request around, I'm going to say events, specific permitted events or permitted food facilities. And so the numbers that she's referencing over, we provided Dina with information about all veterans groups, all nonprofit groups, and all temporary permits, as well as fixed permits and non-profit fixed permits. Because when Patty did some research related to, I think one of the questions was originally that Dina posed to us was around what other counties were doing. So we didn't see anything that specifically reduced fees for veterans, but there was a broader conversation around not-for-profit organizations and what counties are doing or not doing with regard to fees and nonprofits.
And I'm just asking Patty, do you know how many of those permits were issued in 2025?
Yeah.
So if you're going to talk about it, I'll let it go. I just didn't know.
Oh,
Okay, whenever you're ready. I mean, I'm ready. Okay.
So when I looked up those numbers, I would tell you it was a cursory look based on ones that I would know would be associated with veterans groups. So I've never heard of Joe's Wish, so I wouldn't know if that one did or didn't. Do you know what I mean? I used there were 3 or 4 VFW, American Legions. I think Path to Hope was one on there. So those are the ones really that I looked at. So there may be many more, and I couldn't tell you that, right? So I just did the ones that I was personally familiar with based on your letter. So I think there's a couple things that, just from the staffing standpoint, that I would ask to be addressed. So the one-time permit fee there's the one issue of the permit, and then there's the issue of the administrative processes. Because when we go out to do a temporary food event, if there are 5 of them, there are 5 applications, there are 5 permits that are issued that is really not related to the fee. That is the system that we have. We have quite a few years ago, implemented a seasonal temporary permit option for people, and we talked about this. American Legion is one that takes advantage of that, where they get one for the season. So it would be the equivalent of, they can operate every day throughout the summer or whatever their operation is, and that fee is the equivalent of 3 temporaries, and we have quite a few that take advantage of that. So we have considered some of those things about trying to reduce the burden, you know what I mean, of inspection for places that operate well and they know what they're doing and they're at the same place and things like that. So we've tried to build that into the system. So if we did the $50, annual fee, then it would also, I'd need to know there are ones that are full-time. So we have American Legions that have fixed food establishments. The VFW is a very large one in McHenry. So those fees are much higher. Some are at the highest end of what we have, over $500. They're large places. So if that one's included or not will have a different impact, obviously, revenue-wise and the time that is spent on those types of facilities. So when we looked at what other counties are doing, because we try to do that, plus that was one of the questions that we received from Dina, was definitely there are counties in the Northern Illinois region that offer reduced fees for nonprofit organizations. There isn't one that I could find that offers it specific to veterans organizations. It's broader than that. If they offer it to nonprofits, and then they meet certain criteria. So typically, they have to provide documentation that they're a 501c3 or something else to show that they meet the criteria, and then they get a reduced or permit fee or no permit fee. And so, as Melissa also said, I looked only at that limited part of food. And if we looked at it in its broadest sense, if the decision of the board and the county board was to look at nonprofits in general, the budgetary implications would be much higher. I think they would be probably more in the $40,000 to $50,000 range a year, depending on how you defined what those nonprofits and who would be eligible, right? So if you wanted to make it fairly limited, some offer governmental entities, so schools and things like that. We have a lot of schools that we inspect. So that would have, we'd have to factor that in. So, I would need, from just a staff perspective, the guidelines that we would then, I would hope, apply to everybody, to do the same thing. Another concern I would have from a staffing perspective is this is a very, very common question that my staff receives in the field all the time. Can I get a reduced fee? How do I get my fee waived? And we have a process now, which is they can make a request, and that request is reviewed by the public health administrator, and then a response is given. But, it's not only the veterans, and I'm sure that, that you're receiving those, but we receive that even as staff from all kinds of, charitable and organizations throughout the entire year. And then another factor that I would have to have direction on would be what programs are we talking about, right? So, for instance, we have Habitat for Humanity. They are building out a subdivision, building homes and everything, and so we have septic permits and well permits and those types of inspections, and they're a charitable organization. So if we get into those other types of programs and or if we include schools or governmental entities, that number again then will be that much higher. So from my perspective, I know it seems simple, to carve out one entity to do that. I think administratively, it will not be as streamlined. Like if we take the fee part out of it, it won't be as streamlined, as you might hope it would be, because they will need applications. We do have to conduct inspections. And when you talk about those triggers for, additional fees, most of the temporary food events that we go to, I would say, have 500 people or more at them. That's very common. Most of these events take place after hours or on the weekends, outside regular work hours. That's very common throughout the whole year. We're working on like a flexible scheduling, just to get to the ones that, that we have now. And then, I wouldn't be able to predict this, but if it does become easier or there are less permits, then there is also this potential to have more events. You know what I mean? So I couldn't predict what that would be, and what those, those impacts would be.
I appreciate all that you're sharing. Those are great. All of the non-for-profits, they can certainly come to this board and have a conversation with you. I'm specifically, and let me just be clear, only talking about the veterans, right? There's so many non-for-profits. They all do wonderful things. My sole focus for today's purpose is only the veterans. I was only given what I was given, right? So we can expand into La La Land, but I was only able to interpret what I was provided. If I was provided every single item, I would have been able to give you a more clear and concise budget specifically. So with what you're talking about with intended purposes, the fee schedule, is the current fee schedule designed to recover costs, regulate activities, or both?
The fee schedule is to cover the cost of the services that we provide.
I'm just speaking about the veterans, just right now with the veterans.
Right, so our entire fee schedule is set up the same way. So we have historically and always been directed to recover the costs or take in revenues to provide that service, to cover that service over that group of people. So it would be food establishments and or temporary food establishments and or, septic system, installations, those types of things. So that's how the fee schedule is.
And so
intended to
currently,
operate.
is it recovering those costs?
So some of the fee schedule changes we are proposing is intended to reduce some of the gaps that we have.
Sure.
And in the food program, I'm going to tell you generally, yes. Okay, and I'm breaking them out by those categories, right?
Sure.
So generally in the food program, I would say yes. One of the reasons would be really just the economy of scale. We have a lot of food establishments, and we also have a lot of food establishments that close and open in a year.
I'm just
things
talking
like
about the
that.
veterans.
I wouldn't be able to break that out for you because, it's the veterans is not a group or classification in my fee analysis. Does that make sense?
Yes, because then this is where we need to streamline our focus. And the fee analysis needs to be specific to the veteran organization. And looking at my first question, I was able to determine that it's minimal amount of cost to revenue to us at the county, and the services, it's minuscule, right? Based on the information that Melissa's provided. And so it seems though, as it's current, the fees are accomplishing these objectives for the veterans.
Like every other organization, right? Exactly.
So
Not
it's
separate to the veterans, but I'd say in the food program generally, I think generally, yes.
Okay, so I'm
And
just.
not as much with temporary food, yes.
Of the permits that are issued to the veterans, and I know you don't have an exact number.
Right, it's okay.
I know.
You leave
Okay.
How many of them are repeated that don't fall under that single permit for the multiple times? How many of those are repeaters? Just a guesstimate. I mean, how many times?
Right, so what I did see in there, now I can't give you exact numbers, but what I did see over the few years that I looked at, so we looked at the last 3 years, that definitely like American Legion, they went to that seasonal, so they had 2 or 3 of those of the ones that we had. I think that was included in the data that I gave to
It is,
Dina.
but I rolled it up, just so you know. I didn't break it out by the separate AMVETS versus.
Veterans Pet the Whole.
Correct. I just rolled up, I mean, I have the raw data, but I rolled it up because for me, it made more sense to present it,
Sure.
that these were the veterans groups. But I think in the email, at least I intended to acknowledge that it might not capture everybody because we didn't have like a comprehensive
Yeah,
list.
And look, I'm speaking in generalities,
Yep.
right, to
Yeah.
capture the last 3 years, to get a blueprint of the repeated veteran organizations that we're talking about, the ones that are 1 or twice over the last 3 years, and to capture the monetary amount, right, overall.
If I may?
Sure.
As there's nothing in writing for us to take action on tonight. Certainly, your ideas in regards to bona fide veterans organizations has some merit. I would recommend that we conclude the conversation for here tonight.
Sure.
And advise you to meet with staff during the workday and come up with your ideas to them and let them assist you in writing or preparing some documentation that can come back to the committee, come back to the board for consideration.
And with all due respect, I've done that. I've asked Melissa at 2 meetings now. I've summarized the data that was provided to me. My request, my verbal request, is that we have an annual fee for our veterans of $50 for each veteran organization. And it's up to you based on your bylaws to deliberate and then come up with your answer. That's all.
Well, we don't have it on the table for a vote tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it could be proposed for your next, after discussion, you guys could consider what your next steps would look like as your body continues to have dialogue about this topic, and then you can make it for a vote on your next meeting.
Staff needs to work on it.
Yeah, I would
Sure.
say, yeah.
Staff needs to work on it.
Yeah.
So
It's not for us to-
I'm recommending that you communicate with our staff
Sure.
to develop language that meets your desire. And then that will be brought to this committee level and the full Board of Health for consideration, hopefully in the near future.
So that's what I believe is happening right now.
No,
No.
there's no.
So
nothing
today,
in writing.
Melissa, we met, it was at Law and Government, we understood that it was in the bylaws, so that it comes today. That is what I'm doing today, I'm bringing it forth to you. You guys can deliberate and then bring it forth outside of this special meeting to your next formal meeting for deliberation and then make a decision.
No, we don't have enough information.
Yeah.
So we have to have the financial impact. We have to permit staff to give us the opportunity to understand the full scope of this request. Again, it's got merit. The bona veterans organizations are good for our community. But without the details, it would be reckless for this committee to take action at this point in time.
So Melissa has all of the data, so.
Right, so I have a spreadsheet, and I am very sorry. I did hit the print button, and then I failed to pick up. It's exactly what I gave to Dina, which was the summary of the information that Patty put together on the financial impact based on our interpretation of what Dina was requesting. So, Pam's got her hand up.
I would also just suggest to Dina that you work with staff, come up with a definition of what you consider to be a veterans organization.
Or an event. I don't know what that means.
Or an event, because is it more than food services? I too would ask that. Is it just food services? Or are there permitting processes for other things that veterans would have access to? So I think that those questions have to be answered, and then I would come up with what is a veteran organization? If you can do that and see if that's, because then you can come up with specific numbers.
But then we're gonna have to look at what the impact is for other non-for-profits too as well.
Well, and I think, so,
Go ahead.
I appreciate that, but that's not what she's asking for based on her constituents right now. So, yes,
Understand.
but we're just addressing this one thing.
Thank you so much.
But we're not addressing it.
Well, because we don't have any information. So I think we're establishing that we need to be able to look at data, we need the information, we need to know what a veterans organization is. I need to know what an event is so that I can have all of the information to be able to make a decision.
And I would like to also know how many other non-for-profit organizations, not that I'm holding the veterans at any different level than anybody else, but eventually someone's gonna say, hey, how come the veterans are getting a deal and we're not?
right, and all that information is summarized in, so again.
Yep, that's fine.
So what will be the next steps? So I can have a conversation with you, Melissa, you could have a dialogue, we can certainly, I'm sure, define a veterans organization from a veterans organization, define what an event is, and I'm not trying to be.
Or what programs are we only talking about the food program? Are we talking about septic, wells, that veteran organizations, depending on where they're located?
Multiple locations.
Sure. And that was what I was sharing with the compromising of, just the flat fee versus when you start layering on different levels of the event, right? They could be something just with food, it could be with sanitation, it could be a carnival, I don't know.
All right, so
Right?
we can table.
Also, just to add to the information, if you already have it, that's fine. But of these veteran organizations that you obviously have a number of them, how many of them are repeat versus a one-time only? Because I think that makes
That's all, it's all broken down, and maybe Dina, I'll make a request of you. What I don't have is what you have presented, like in, as a handout.
Sure, I think you got it at Law and Government, but I have updated
Was it
the
in
numbers.
the pack?
It was, but I could update the numbers that you've given
If I
me.
could have it electronically,
I
that'd be
could
great,
share it
and
with
then I
all
can
of
share it.
you, you could all see it. it is what we have in our McHenry County. It is our veteran organizations in McHenry County. And I appreciate there's many not-for-profits, but today, again, I'm here specifically for the veterans.
Yeah, for me, just for your
Sure.
edification,
Sure.
I'm trying to grasp where the pain is as far as those veterans go. Is it $50 because they do one event? Is it $50 per event and they do 10 events and then it's $500? So that would be something I would like to know.
Okay, so,
For the audience, both present and listening on the air, I would like to ask Mary Ellen to speak on what animal control presently does for our veterans. Staff did come to us with a program a while back. The Board of Health adopted the program to benefit some of our veterans. And could you identify that?
Thank you. Actually, by state statute, veterans are able to adopt an animal once a year for no cost. We waive the fee. They have to go through the regular adoption process, but because we want them to have emotional support or other type of support, we want them to be able to have access to animals. So we do that. And then also we had some of our active military who were being deployed and had to give up their animals, had to relinquish their animals, and we waived all fees for that.
Okay. And the Board of Health supported that request and continues to do so. But it is worth noting, those animals, each one of those animals requires an expenditure of agency monies to process, to train, to evaluate, to house, to vet. And so there's a cost with each one of those adoptions that the veterans do not pay. But those costs are then all shared amongst all the rest of us that do pay. Those costs don't go away.
I'm very well aware of taxes and who pays for what.
Okay.
I understand that. Being on the county, I understand that burden.
Okay.
How some pay for others, right? The service that the veterans provide is a lifetime that's priceless to me. That's why I'm sitting here.
all right, so I think for now we'll table this once we
Thank you so much.
have
Sorry.
more information and have a
They say, oh,
packet
yes.
explaining.
Okay, thank you so much.
Come back to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dina.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So next on the agenda is the roundtable discussion between Board of Health members, county board members, county administration, health department staff, Department of Agriculture, and the county farm bureau. I know this might be a very sensitive subject, so I just ask everyone to respect each other's time and try not to interrupt and let everyone get this conversation.
You say we have a roundtable discussion?
Yeah, we're just going to just discuss. So is there anyone who would like to go first?
Just
Instead of having just the board discuss it, we're allowing other people to come and discuss it if you have questions.
And I think the intent, yell at me if I'm wrong, I think the intent was to have some other specific staff individuals. Unfortunately, I believe they will be at your board meeting, not at the ordinance meeting. And that would have included the sheriff's office, the state's attorney, public or planning and development, emergency management, and somebody else, whomever else. Oh, administration. So I think that was, but you will get that at the board meeting. They will all be represented, which is what we've been doing at the committee meetings. And I'll give you a little bit of an update, and you can ask questions. Eric is here to give a little bit of a new perspective that came up at the Public Health Committee meeting that will be addressed at the county board. So this is what I'm going.
Oh, sorry, I don't know if Eric
Which is
Eric Hendricks is on the county board, I apologize. District 3.
Okay, we might need to back up even a little bit more. That there's an amendment, I'm not even sure everybody knows that there has been an amendment proposed from the county related to the animal control ordinance as it relates to events. And
we're referencing it as animal entertainment. And this is specifically to address animal cruelty. I don't want to get off topic and indicate that it's about anything other than that. It is not specifically about rodeos, Mexican rodeos, whatever. It is about specifically dealing with animal cruelty, which is why originally it was an amendment to the public health ordinances under animal control.
Just
So there,
a point of clarification. We are working on page 200 of the packet. Is that correct? That's accurate?
That's where it starts, and there are multiple versions in there so that you can see the iteration of the conversation as it has moved through county committees.
Okay.
I only have page 182.
What is which pages contain the most recent request?
I put them in order, so it would be the last. If you give me a second, I need to pull up the.
and so you understand what's in front of you is the amendment that was presented for a 30-day review at the county board. Since that time, procedurally, we have taken that amendment back to 3 separate committees: Law and Government, Public Health, and Planning, Environment, and Development. There has been, every board member has heard this issue except for 3, because they just don't happen to be on any of those committees. As this amendment has been reviewed, that's what you're looking at, Mr. Clark, is you're looking at all of the recommendations, suggestions, comments that were made to amend the amendment. There is not a compiled document yet that will go back to the county board for their consideration at the committee of the whole, as well as then at the county board. That has not been drafted at this point. So all of those comments that have been presented by several different individuals, as well as outside special interest groups, are hopefully contained in the documents that you have there. But there is not a definitive draft yet of a new amendment, although one will be forthcoming.
Okay. A question on that. So your purpose here tonight is to just report to this committee that there is activity taking place on this topic. Since there is apparently none of the language that is in front of us is the rules that you want, that are intended to be adopted, you're not asking tonight then for any action from this board or from this committee?
I don't think I can answer that question because I'm not exactly sure why I'm here. I am here because I have been the one that added the amendment that has been carrying it in the committees. I'm here to answer any of the questions you may have and to give you an update of where we are and what it is I think sitting here today I am proposing. I would love for this group to talk about it, ask questions, and get a better understanding and then make any recommendations that you want to carry to the full Board of Health for any further discussion. Okay, so where we have been after all of the committees, all of the input, and I do want you to understand, staff has been very, very much engaged in the entire process that we go through. I am not changing or suggesting to change process and how we handle complaints. I am suggesting that we amend our animal control language so that it is better for law enforcement to write tickets, for animal control to write ordinance tickets, and for the state's attorney's office to go into court and prosecute people who have been written a ticket for animal cruelty. That is the point of why we're doing this amendment. No other reason. That's it, animal cruelty. So we've had much discussion from a wide variety of people, and where I am at this particular point and the consensus that I believe I have gotten from most of the board members is we are going to attempt to take the existing state statute on the Humane Care for Animals Act and incorporate that language into our county ordinance. In addition to that, and we do have to do some amendments, you're not gonna be able to say we just lifted it and put it in, because that statute deals only with individuals. We obviously are trying to incorporate, because this is about animal entertainment under the humane care of animals in our ordinance. We are trying to capture also those people who are organizing those events, those people potentially who own the property where those events are occurring, and then the individuals who are actually in the event. So it's a bigger, broader group that we're trying to address. So there's some language that will be changed. Mr. Hendricks and our state's attorney have been talking, and I think that they're gonna come to kind of an agreement on what that should look like, the language. In addition, here are the big items. Board member Sager, who I don't know if you know, has a degree in both agriculture as well as in economics, and has been working the Illinois State Fair for the last 40 plus years, had some very specific ideas that he wanted to incorporate. He suggested 4 exemptions. 2 of them have gotten a great deal of agreement and consensus. One of them being is that, I can't remember. One of them being that the animal husbandry, there's an exemption for animal husbandry in the normal operations of farming. And I'm paraphrasing, it's much more legalistic than that.
Yeah, I've got all 4 of them here.
Right, oh, so what's the second one?
The first one was normal good husbandry practices. The first one is laying down of an animal for medical or identification purposes.
So those 2 amendments have gotten a consensus to be included in the ordinance. 3 and 4 will be included in a separate memo to the board that says, I haven't gotten consensus on these. I am looking for discussion at the committee of the whole, and from you tonight, perhaps, if that's permitted.
Carolyn, what page are you reading now?
Page 210.
Thank
So
you.
for you, and it's highlighted in yellow, the 3 and 4.
Look at like not page 8, it's, the top of that one is gonna say updated for 6/30/26 at long government.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's 210 on the paper, on my, yeah.
6/30/26 LGL?
Mhm.
Okay. Can I ask, was it really a point of question? Everything in yellow is what you're gonna be talking about?
I think what I heard Pam say is number 1 and number 2, she has consensus on.
Right,
3 and 4, 3 is events occurring at the McHenry County Fairgrounds, and 4 sanctioned rodeos as recognized by the Illinois Department of Agriculture.
Oh, but that's been changed. It's no longer the Department of Agriculture. It's the 3 organizations that we know sanction rodeos.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
was that
actually-
changed
those are 3.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my apologies.
No, that's okay, that's okay. So it's not, because the Department of Ag, thank you, Farm Bureau, has absolutely nothing to do with the sanctioning of rodeos. It's 3 specific associations. They are specifically, or they will be specifically named if the county board chooses to incorporate 3 and 4.
Remember that?
I'm gonna take my thing from Cecilia. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, it's somewhere in all this reading, someone mentioned that they don't want to see another layer of government getting involved and referring to the health department. I think you clarified it very well right now, Pam, is that we're not adding to it. We're trying to align what's there already and what your committee is gonna, finalize, so that everything's in alignment from the state to the county, and animal control can do what they need to do to help protect the animals.
I don't think that's what she said.
That's not it?
No, that would be good, but no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying currently the way the process works is that animal control works in conjunction with law enforcement. Law enforcement works in conjunction with animal control. They go out to these events, and I can opine about that later too if somebody asks me the right question about what the sheriff's office thinks. But what I'm saying is this is from the committee discussions and the presentation by staff to the committee members. This is where I'm at in my head, where I think I'm gonna go with the amendment. I'm not done, can I finish?
Yep.
And then you can ask any questions. Okay, outside of those 2 of the 4 recommended exemptions, We will also include specifically a definition provided by Brian Sager and the Farm Bureau, consensus between the two, of tailing, which is the practice, and you can see it, it's in your notes, the practice of grabbing, pulling, or dragging an animal by the tail, then wrapping the tail around an individual's leg or stirrup, which results in the animal being slammed or dragged to the ground. That will be incorporated as a definition in the amendment. In addition to that, there will be language that gives, it's called the defensibility clause, which is very specific that if someone gets wrapped up into something that they don't think is animal cruelty, it's clear to the courts and to the enforcement officers that this is the defensible portion of it, which basically is to attempt to address some of the concerns of the Farm Bureau about getting wrapped up into having somebody come on their property saying that they're being cruel to their animals, right? Don't know if that ever is going to happen, but to say it never will happen is ridiculous, because we all know when we say that, it happens. It's Murphy's Law. So I understand everybody has a concern and everyone has an opinion. That, I think, covers 97% of where we are and what we're doing. So we're basically taking the state statute, which is already the law. But in court here in McHenry County, the burden of proof on our attorneys is lowered if I have a local ordinance, and I'm not referencing a state statute. One of the other reasons we think it's important to go ahead and go forward and have this amendment on our books, because then they can write the ticket, the ordinance violation, right, not ticket, on our ordinance, not on the state statute. So that kind of, I think, explains one of the reasons why we got to where we got. I will also look at you and tell you, Eric has a position that is viable, which I really would like you to think about. And I can opine about how staff feels about that, but I think you should talk about that after Cindy asks for a question.
I just want to tell everybody that I did FOIA to see how many rodeos, and I didn't specify whether it was a, whatever, I can't say it. What?
Right, be careful. This is not about rodeos. This is about animal cruelty.
No, I know, I'm just,
okay,
because tailing is involved in a specific type of event. In 2024, there were 3. 2025, there were 4.
Okay. And by the way, there is currently legislation in front of the General Assembly that specifically incorporates a definition similar to the one that we have into the Humane Care of Animals Act at the state level, because this is not a situation unique to McHenry County. It is in various places throughout the state of Illinois, and this issue has been brought forward in all of those counties. So there is legislation that is moving forward in the General Assembly specifically dealing with that. And I think that's all I have, and I'll be quiet.
What, just a question for you, and then somebody you can go. Timeline, what's it look like?
It's gonna be on this month's.
Right, but I can't tell you. I will have my amendment, and I will have it out ahead of the committee of the whole to all of the board members so that they can look at it, and if they have any questions, contact staff, contact me, contact whoever it is. And as I stated, I will also have a memo attached to it that says this is my amendment. These are the outstanding issues that I did not necessarily have consensus on that needs to be addressed, and then we'll have a conversation at the committee of the whole. I can pull the amendment if there's not a majority to move forward with it, and we can continue to work on it. You know, it may be a different level, may look a little different. Or if there seems to be a consensus, good question, because now I'm gonna get to where I need to go. If there's consensus to utilize this and move forward, we will. That does not mean that the effort to make this better will stop. But we have a situation where, honestly, this issue, although it wasn't brought to the Farm Bureau then, this issue has been percolating out since last season. So I feel that there is a little bit of a timeliness important here, because we're entering again into that season. A lot of animal entertainment events occur late summer, fall, right? It's cooler for the animals, blah, blah, blah. And so we were trying to get something in place so that as we approach that season, both animal control and law enforcement have a better pathway and a better tool. I keep saying, this is a tool, that's what this is, right? It's a tool to be used. I'm not changing, I don't want to change process, I don't want to do any of those. I just want to craft a better piece of ordinance to give my staffers better tools to enforce what we want enforced with regard to cruelty to animals.
Why isn't this already being shut down though? I guess that's what I'm confused about. Like when we have neighbors who are watching this happen and they're seeing this cruelty taking place.
Because it's not necessarily taking place when someone is there. It may be a drone overhead, they have to give it has to be somebody who witnesses. I can't answer that.
But wouldn't they then call like the police or the sheriff's department and they would come and they would like, I guess that's what I'm not understanding, why it's not already being taken care of.
If there was a call, it would be responded to, right?
Us or the sheriff or both.
So we're not getting the calls when these events are taking place?
I'm going to opine, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Can we speak?
No.
No, you cannot.
It's, the properties of these events are not,
They're private.
yeah, so you're not, the general public is not seeing things, only the people doing the activity are participating.
And our law enforcement, please let me be clear, our law enforcement is on site. Their main focus is not to be watching that. They are on site to provide security for the people who are attending the event.
But they're attending an event.
But that doesn't mean that they're watching the events.
And traffic control.
And traffic control, thank you, and traffic control. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily in an arena watching the event. They could be out in the driveway directing traffic. If they see it, yes, they can act. We do have a case in court. It doesn't mean that there haven't been incidences that haven't resulted in enforcement. But not all of them are at the time of.
I don't want to get stuck in the weeds here, and this is probably a conversation.
And that's,
for
you know what,
another time.
save those questions for law enforcement when they're at your board meeting. Because I can't answer it.
Okay.
And I'm curious for your recommendations compared to what's happening in the state. Is it the same? Are we going to be below state, above state? Like,
We cannot ever pass anything, and by the way, too, just so you guys know, you can't make money. Government never can actually provide a service and make money off of it, just so you know that, when you're talking about fees. Also, we are by Dylan's rule, we cannot have any kind of ordinance that is more restrictive than the state statute. We are taking the Humane Care for Animals Act and incorporating that language except for a broader group, and we're incorporating that in our ordinance.
right, but what's being proposed now, I'm curious in this ordinance, if you know if it's the same as what's in the state, the Senate bill?
So
Or is it?
It's similar, it's not the exact
Yeah,
same wording,
Okay.
it's similar.
currently, the health code already has the exact same language as the Class A misdemeanor for the animal cruelty statute, which I just found out 10 minutes ago. So I looked it up. So that's currently the same. I think the drive of the amendment, correct me if I'm wrong, the drive of the amendment is to further capture like the event host. I think that's the big one.
Yes, that's it, and detailing, and giving a specific definition for tailing. Because that's not in the state statute, and as you can see, other counties are running into prosecution issues because it's not specified in the current language.
Madam Chairwoman, I would like to invite Chris McKee to the table. He is the president of the McHenry County Farm Bureau and is by the agenda a participant in the roundtable discussion. It will give the committee members an opportunity to hear the concerns of the agricultural community in regards to these changes.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? If we're having a roundtable, like, and we have people here who are asking to speak that are part of the public, they're not allowed to be part of the roundtable?
because they're not
part
on
of
the.
the agenda.
And Melissa, just so you know, in general, you are a governing body. you're not holding a town hall meeting. You're a governing body, and so who's on the agenda is invited to participate.
Sure.
That's what it is.
I guess I just
And
got
you
thrown by the title, the
Sure.
word roundtable, because to me, that
Sure.
means we're having, like whoever's here is having a discussion.
Okay.
Right, and I would take exception to that.
I would like to make a couple further comments, if I may.
Sure.
Just for the record, so the audience is aware, I am a livestock farmer. That's my occupation. I'm a member of the McHenry County Farm Bureau, for full disclosure. Is there any other members here at our McHenry County Farm Bureau?
I mean, I'm part of the Farm Bureau, but.
You are? Okay, she's a member. Is there the organization Shark? Is there any members on the board that's a member of Shark? Okay, good to know. Okay.
We asked to be invited also. I asked yesterday and again today.
It wasn't timely. It has to be 48 hours in advance of the meeting. That's state statute. That's all. That's the rules of the meeting. I'm going to speak on two sides of the coin here. I'm going to speak as a farmer, and I'm going to speak as a member of the Board of Health. As a farmer, watch just the video that you just saw. A non-agricultural person would be mortified at that. Well, keep in mind that that is a filming that is done by a group with an agenda to cause an outcome. It is not necessarily an unbiased video.
Oh.
It is a, we don't know if any of those individuals were prosecuted, what the outcome of those prosecutions were, what the outcome of the animals were, and such. So there was no videos presented that showed, and I'm not certain, because I don't participate in these type of events, but the thousands of runs of these type of events without any injury. Rodeos in general, whether it be an American rodeo or a Mexican rodeo, they are the result of activities that take place on the ranch, on the range. I need to get a calf to the ground so I can ear tag it, I can castrate it, I can medicate it, I can fix a broken leg, I can get my hands on the animal. In the United States, the American rodeos, or the American ranchers typically do their restraining with ropes and use ropes to bring the animals to the ground. Does that mean that that's the perfect way? Nope, that means it's one way. The events that are being highlighted here show that a rider coming up alongside a steer and grabbing onto a tail. And what the objective is to cause that animal to misstep and fall to the ground. Out on the range, as soon as it fell to the ground, we would dismount the horse, jump on the animal, and begin our doctoring. The visuals of the tails being pulled off, can that happen? It certainly can. The video showed it can. Can it be done without the tails? Most likely, most of the time, it's done without the tails coming off. If you work livestock and understand the anatomy of a cow's tail and how durable it is and how strong it is, most often the tail being degloved is either going to be accidental, just like a broken racehorse leg, just like a fractured ankle on a football field, a baseball to the shoulder on a baseball field that results in injury. It's as a result of an accident. Are there some bad players? Yes, there are some bad players. And for those bad players, there are already state statutes administered under the Illinois Department of Ag, enforced by either the Department of Ag staff itself or the Illinois State Police. The concern here, or my observation here, is and the desire to take it from that arena and move it into this arena is that when it gets to that arena and a decision is made from people that work daily with livestock, they say, yep, we wish it didn't happen, but it's not worth enforcing. It's not worth prosecuting. And that's what you're all talking about here. You're not talking about slapping a person's hand on ethics violation. You are talking about criminalizing our livestock producers that are doing these functions. You're intending to prosecute criminally. And that is a huge concern to myself as a livestock farmer. Now, for those that are either accidentally or maliciously degloved, looks horrific. It sounds terrific. We have a veterinarian here that, although she doesn't identify herself as being a small animal veterinarian or a large animal veterinarian, to identify her experience with large animals. If the animal's injured, it can be processed into meat. The tail can be amputated. They don't absolutely have to have a tail. How many people clip their tails off the dogs? How many people clip ears on the dogs? There are times when an animal is altered as a result of competition, appearance, dog shows, horse shows, rodeos, livestock shows, all of them. So while as a citizen that has not got any farm experience, sitting in town or living next to a farm without any of the farm experience, yeah, I understand why they're concerned. But from a livestock producer, I don't share that. And if it is a case where a person does it maliciously, there is already in state statute under the Illinois Department of Ag that handles it. And Chris will speak for the organization as a whole, I don't want jurisdiction of livestock to fall under county government ordinances, period. It's not right. There is virtually nobody in county government that works with livestock on a daily basis, especially enforcement.
Okay, can I address some of the comments you made?
No, I got more to make.
Because it's gonna be a long night.
Yeah.
Of course. Did you expect otherwise?
No, but I'm just saying, if
It's been a long week.
week.
What's the function of this? I guess I'm wondering. At the end of tonight, and I'm sorry, is the end of tonight, is the function to educate us on these different perspectives? Is the function to push something through or not push something through? Is the function to then have this information and take it to the bigger Board of Health? What's the function?
I think one main, I guess, function would be to get your opinion on the proposed amendment. Do you recommend it? Do you not? Do you need more time to look at it? All the full board.
So,
Correct.
my comment is, I don't disagree with the interference of farming. But from everything that I'm hearing, it's the entertainment side of things. They're staying away from farming, specifically making that clear. And so what you do on your farm, however you put an animal in a stanchion or you rope it or whatever you do, that is not what this is addressing, is my understanding. As far as what you addressed, as far as ear, tail docking, all that, that's done under general anesthesia by a licensed veterinarian, except for farmers. And that would be something that would fall under what you do on a day-to-day business operation. So if they said to you, Joe, this is not gonna be designed to touch you in any way, shape, or form with your farming, how would you feel about that?
I would object to it.
Why?
Because it is livestock species that they are moving into. A cow is a cow, whether it's in a rodeo ring or in my pasture or your pasture. A horse is a horse, whether it's in a rodeo ring or in your pasture. Pig, sheep, et cetera, et cetera. Currently, jurisdiction falls squarely under the Department of Ag. Yes, animal control has, under their umbrella, the right to investigate and take action, but it's under the state statute. It is not a local ordinance. That's where it belongs. It does not belong in our ordinances, period. That is my opinion as a farmer.
Sure.
Now, you were talking, back on the rodeo. So, most of the events, I can't quite wrap my hand around who came up with the first idea of bull riding, but all the other events are related to jobs that are performed with our agriculture on ranges and such. Sometime way back when, I said to you, hey, I can rope a steer in 10 seconds. You said I can do it in 9. Oh, prove it. Sure. Here, hold my beer. Let's go. And so then it became a little bit of competitive. Then it expanded to be more participants. Then somebody realized that they could make money off of it, and now it becomes a commercial business. That's how it happens. But all of the events that are utilized in a rodeo have origins of duties and functions that start on a ranch, including steer tailing.
But it doesn't make it.
Including steer tailing. Steer tailing is designed, like I said earlier, designed to grab the animal, cause it to misstep on the hindquarters and fall to the ground.
But it doesn't require them to wrap it around their leg on a horse.
I don't know that. That is, what I'm saying is that is a result of a function that their society does for handling livestock. How to get their livestock to the ground.
It's for entertainment is what we're talking about.
It's handling livestock.
It's not when it's entertainment.
It's handling livestock.
If I went to a horse show and I shot, and you've seen this with horses, and I'll use horses because it's a very wealthy sport, and if you see people behaving cruelly to horses, it would stop. We wouldn't allow that to happen. It doesn't matter how the horse breeder, because the horse breeder is breeding horses, what he does on his horse farm, we don't see that. What we see is part of entertainment, and I object to the entertainment. I don't object to what you do on your farm. I don't object to how you take an animal down. I'm not there. I hope everyone does it humanely because it doesn't make any sense not to. But for entertainment purposes, there is no valid reason to be cruel to an animal for entertainment purposes. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. The next portion is my position as a board member. When we are expanding the services of animal control, we are going to be responding to complaints that we have not had to respond to before. We are going to be sending personnel out to handle calls from individuals who are making reports about what they believe is an animal issue. There's an expense to that. There is going to be quite an expense to that. And it needs to be funded.
There was 4 last year.
It needs to be funded.
Yeah.
So that's my concern as a board member is who's paying for this? Where's the money coming from? Is the county board, are you going to cough up $20,000?
It doesn't change the fact that if someone makes a complaint, they still have to go out whether it is related to someone illegally doing something.
They do at times refer. They do times refer to other agencies. And the other agency is the Department of Ag.
Can you address that?
That's what I was gonna ask. Can you give both Melissa and,
address, like, how would this affect?
How it currently works and what the process is. And again, very important, everyone weighed in on this, and then how that would potentially affect your operations if in fact this amendment went through, if you would do that for me. And then Melissa, if you want anything, you want to add.
I think Mary Ellen will probably cover what
So first, I think it's really, really important that everybody understands in Article 6, there's already wording for nothing in this ordinance affects normal good husbandry practices utilized by any person in the production of food, companion or working animals, or in the extermination of undesirable pests. And when we added to the language in the cruelty section, which is a civil, right? It's an ordinance violation, it's civil, not criminal. We added in that wording specifically for the production organizations we have here in McHenry County. So when there is a complaint, either we're getting the phone call that there's a complaint, the sheriff's office is getting a phone call that there's a complaint. It will depend on the time of day, what day of the week, how many people we have on, how the phone call comes in, right? It could come in as a phone call that goes to our answering service after hours. More than likely, it's going to be a call that's going to go to the sheriff's office, and then they're going to call us, and we're going to go out to the event together. Sometimes they're already there, and then we're meeting them there. We have never been inside one of these particular events with tailing. We have watched drone footage. We have had discussion with law enforcement. Law enforcement has had discussion with us. We've had discussion with the complainants. Dr. Katz, to your question, it takes a long time to determine any kind of criminal charge, right? You have to have all your evidence in order. There's a different level of what you have to prove in a criminal charge than in a civil charge. So if animal control is called out and we have enough evidence or reasoning to give a ticket for animal cruelty civilly, then we can go ahead and do that. And I think that's part of the intent here, is if we decide there are certain activities which are banned in our county and we need to write a civil ordinance violation, we can do that to send a clear message that this is not allowed in our county. But it's still going to have to be proven, right? We still have to know that the drone footage is authentic. We would be asking law enforcement about that. We still have to know that the county says that particular types of activities are banned in our county or that they represent cruelty, right? To Mr. Clark's point, I do not want to go out to a farm that's producing and determine that there's animal cruelty there. I would be calling the Department of Ag and saying, we have a production farm, can you go out and inspect it or do an investigation? And they would take over that. More than likely, because we've had this past year, they'd be saying to us, could you come with us? And we'd be saying, you know what, we'd like to come because maybe there will be some kind of civil violation there that we'd like to have addressed, as well as whatever the Department of Ag wants to address. So there's lots of different ways this happens. There's lots of different outcomes. Animal control needs to know what the county is going to say is abuse so that when we go out, we know what that expectation is. Now, you mentioned agriculture. I can tell you we do have a few examples over, let's say, the last 7 or 8 years of someone who has started a farm, a backyard farm, and maybe has not done good husbandry, does not know what they're doing, has not educated themselves well enough, is not providing the basics of food, water, shelter. And so we have gotten involved in some of those. Never large production, but yes, certainly those backyard farmers that needed to be either educated, right? Educated and then given a violation. And then there are times when we've had to impound animals because it is potentially criminal. And so we have to actually take responsibility for those animals. We took responsibility for 27 mini horses. Yes. What was that 8 years ago? Yes. That was very costly. We took responsibility for I'm going to tell you the wrong number because I didn't look it up today, 265 animals from a farmlet in which there was not good husbandry. It had nothing to do with food production. It had nothing to do with following good husbandry. It was not following things to care for the animals, to make sure that they were safe. So we have had a few examples of smaller farms. Maybe we call that one a medium farm. I think that person probably just got out of hand of what they were doing, not following good husbandry. And we do sometimes have to get involved in those. And either we're working with the Department of Agriculture, the Sheriff's Office, maybe it might be, if it's horses, maybe it might be the Hoofed Animal Humane Society, ourselves. So we have lots and lots of partners in this that we work with, as well as the State's Attorney's Office, civil and criminal. So.
And you don't want to impound cattle, right?
We were once asked to go out to view 50 cows, which turned into 500 cows, in which I said that is not in our purview. That is not something that we would be going out to inspect, and we turned that over to the Department of Agriculture. Many times we turn these over to the Department of Agriculture if it's something that's either not in our normal purview, or we want some assistance, or it's just not something we feel like we're going to be able to evaluate.
All right. For the Farm Bill, you haven't had a chance to speak.
Yes, so I'm Chris McKee, President of McHenry County Farm Bureau. I think when I put this task force together, it was obviously because this was on the fast track, and that was the first we heard about it a little later. And I think from Pam was there, I think that unintended consequences were probably one of the biggest things that bothers everyone. I mean, I do have off here, page 204, line K, number 2, Harbor Milk Day. That is not exempt. Inter-County Fairgrounds would be exempt by the champion. The champion cow is going to be in probably 3 classes in that show. Would that be?
I'll interrupt you right there, Chris. We did at the last meeting. I apologize to you. If number 3 is included, Harbor Milk Days will be included.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. You're happy. Nope. Good catch. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah.
No, I'm being very serious.
No. And I think that I do wonder if there's been 7 of these where there's been violations, why there's only 1 been I don't even know what it's prosecuted for. I've been working on that. I don't know why. Why hasn't the Sheriff's Office investigated? Nobody reported it? How's it going to get reported with this? Serious questions. What could the consequences be down the road? I think is where we are. I mean, there's a state statute out there that's prosecutable, and if we're talking about this many years and nothing's happened.
Do we want to get ahead of it though?
Huh?
Do we want to get ahead of it?
Well, I would like to know why it's been a problem, I guess, partly. And if you have the laws, why isn't it?
In my perspective, just because I live down the street from one, never hear anything, never see anything, because it's such a huge crowd, you don't even know what's going on.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I know exactly what
I don't even know. I don't know.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm just curious, because, we are focusing on the tailing, the stripping, the healing. Are other types of rodeo I guess, I'm sorry, I'm not a farmer, ever been to a rodeo, but of capturing the animal, are there just as many injuries as with a rope, or how they, grab it, with the heel and it falls to the ground? I mean, I've just seen what I've seen on television, and it seems, all of it seems cruel to me.
In all sporting events, there are occurrences of injuries. And yes, in rodeos, you do have to question why they're focusing on steer tailing, when there are other rodeo events that result in trauma to an animal. I'm okay with it, but why is one given value of being more severe than others? I mean, you got bronc riding, you got tie-down roping, you got steer wrestling, you got mutton busting, you got all kinds of different rodeo events that can result in injury or death to the animal. That is an accepted price for that type of event. On the vast majority of runs, there's nothing that happens. Horse racing, they run thousands of races. Everything is without an occurrence, and then one race, a horse breaks its leg. That's an accepted.
I'm sorry, can you guys keep that down?
It's an accepted risk to that event. While it's unfortunate that the animals, most of what I saw was the lowest end of the tail, the hair bob that came off. It doesn't mean that animal isn't utilized. That animal, that they will either cut it off or they will bandage it and it'll go into the feedlot. It will be fed out and it will be processed and it'll be your steaks and burgers down the road. It's not gonna be wasted. It's not an animal that is a companion animal. It is a livestock animal. Livestock have a much, much different threshold of pain than does Fido. Anybody that would actually work on them and handle them would know that. Those that don't do it are concerned about it because of their lack of experience. I, as one that works with it on a daily basis, and I'm sure other farmers will tell you that it's a creature that is different as far as thresholds of pain, methods of handling, purpose of use than your companion animal. And
Jill, I understand what you're saying, but I guess I'm trying to understand it from this perspective. If we're just talking about it for entertainment, which I do have questions about later, but if we're just talking about it for entertainment, is the concern like the slippery slope almost? The concern is the slippery slope.
You're making a snowball at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And you're setting it down and it's not, until, it's not gonna melt. It's gonna just continue to grow as it rolls downhill. And so yes,
I get.
Here you might pass for steer tailing and whatever else. You know, they're actually saying no heeling, no jumping poles. There's a lot of horse events where they jump poles and go around poles and.
I think they're talking about
No, it's all open to interpretation.
But there's tripping is already in the ordinance, so that's something that they've already defined as cruelty. And so they put that.
Under state
Let me just finish,
statute.
please. So what we're talking about is the word tailing. Tailing maybe means something different to you, okay? You may say, I'll pull this cow's tail to get it to go into the trailer, or I'll do this kind of thing. Tailing in this definition is for the purpose of entertainment. They're not tailing this cow to take it in and get it slaughtered. They're tailing it for entertainment, and that is the issue.
They're tailing it for competition between cowboys and cowgirls to set a time record and how to get the animal to the ground. People that are viewing it use it for their entertainment, but it's a competition between those cowboys and cowgirls that are doing the event. And they're hoping to get prize money and recognition, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, but I'll modify mine to include competition or entertainment.
In there are some bad actors, and those bad actors should be complaint filed to the Department of Ag, either through the state police, directly, they have a hotline to the Department of Ag, make the report. I know if somebody calls the Department of Ag about something on my farm, I have an investigator there quickly. But I'm comfortable with that because that investigator is coming from a slaughter facility, from a stockyard, from a veterinary large animal practice, from a import regulation quarantine facility that deals with livestock. It's not coming from a police officer with local jurisdiction or an animal control officer with local jurisdiction that is going to pass judgment and issue a complaint, which potentially could be a Class A misdemeanor, criminal record on me, without having the experience or the background to make that decision.
But you're making this huge leap right now.
Can I, you know what, I love you guys, I do, and it's a great discussion, but you're gonna argue all night long, and neither one of you are gonna agree with the other one. So let's just know, you would prefer not to do anything at all.
Well,
right, you would.
yes, I'm a hard no.
Okay, so be it. You are open to ideas. Can I ask Chris, do you comments, I mean, kind of speak generally so that there's another.
From what I understand, Dr. Sager's original proposal was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a paragraph, right? About. And it turned into this. And I think that's where the slippery slope and the unintended consequences come. Could a lot of people have gone with the original? I have a feeling that you would have had 99% of the people go with it. But I think when it started turning into
Yes,
how many pages of,
which is why we reverted back to where we are. You're absolutely,
So-
that's
So what do you think?
duly
You
noted.
good with
well,
that?
yeah, well, I hear it's changing again, right?
Well, it's
always
what I,
changing.
it's always, that's
Right,
what
but
happens when you legislate by group.
That's why you should go through staff.
So, and it has, and
I-
90% of what you will get from me, more probably, is staff recommended. So I will tell you, again, it will be incorporating the actual state statute. The reason that we feel, again, that we need this is because we've had a lot of difficulty at the court level of getting that type of prosecution that we want. The suggestion was made to do something at the local level. It has more standing in court. That's it. I don't disagree with the concern about a slippery slope, et cetera, but that's why we've put in the defensible language. That's why we've exempted animal husbandry. And I make the speech at the end of all of my things. We either trust the people that we hire to do these things, or we should let them go if they're not doing the job that we think they should be doing. I take a real exception to the fact that we don't trust the very people that we have in these positions to guide us, right? And if they're not, and they're doing it inappropriately, then, let's find somebody else who's actually listening to us. So this has been done with all of those entities that I have identified, and you'll hear that again at your full board.
We haven't heard from you though.
And
so.
Eric's coming.
I just wanted to ask, so obviously there's the cruelty to animals ordinance already, like currently.
We have a
Under the
section on
code.
cruelty in Article 6, yes.
Correct. So how many, I guess going to, I believe Ms. Katz's comment earlier,
Stop.
why aren't they being prosecuted? Or not, I shouldn't say prosecuted, why, or is animal control doing something as far as writing a local ordinance violation?
So we've been called out to 2 of them probably in the last 2 years. And both times we have been outside of the event, asked to watch drone footage, could not get validation of that drone footage.
And when you say validation, what do you
That
mean?
would be like authenticity, that they took it there, timestamps on it, who took the video, so that it becomes evidence, right?
Of course, yeah.
So,
Well, doesn't that seem like, that seems like pretend for a second,
Yeah.
hypothetically, you went to this event, there was a video, and the person's like, I'm the one who took it was today at this time, that's what the footage is, I took it with this drone. Would you ticket in that instance? And if not, why not? And if not, what is different about this ordinance? Because it is expanding the authority of the Department of Health and the scope of services. And so I guess that's my question. Because I totally understand if someone says, hey, look at this video, and then goes, but I'm not gonna be a witness. I'm not gonna say who took the video. I'm not gonna say it was at this event. But none of that would, if that happens under this new ordinance, you're gonna have the same issue.
which is why they were able to finally get charges last year, because they were able to validate.
Well, that was criminal though.
That was criminal,
Right.
yes.
But like, so it sounds to me, it's funny because Pam said trust government and I kind of campaigned when I ran on trusting government. But, so I mean, it sounds like you have, not you, but just the county already has a tool. And a tool that could be effective. The main holdup, at least in those 2 instances, which you said 2 in the last 2 years.
We have been out to 2 in the last 2 years.
So in that scenario, nothing changes if people aren't willing to be witnesses, validate videos, et cetera. Makes me wonder why. Because, I don't disagree. If someone is, if someone's cruelly treating an animal, right? And we have the tool, there might be cases where the prosecutor or the sheriff don't believe it would be upheld in court, or they'd be able to get the conviction, right? But that's under the higher, like you noted, the higher burden of proof, the beyond the reasonable doubt. But we already have an ordinance under the health code that does mimic exactly already the Class A misdemeanor, or at least the most common Class A misdemeanor that's charged, which is something along the lines of no person or owner shall cruelly treat, torment, abuse an animal. What about this would change? And for a moment, I'm ignoring the entertainment side of it, because I understand that that would change, right?
Yeah.
But if people aren't if people are not willing to be witnesses or do any of the things necessary for you to pursue it, why would this benefit your department?
I think the one thing here is the tailing or the degloving, right? That's been really kind of a gray area for us to know, does the county, do the people of this county, does the government of the county feel that that's an animal cruelty as part of potentially that gray area of, is it agricultural? Is it being done to celebrate the history of the cowboy and cowgirls?
Sure.
So this has helped us provide more guidance on that, of where the county stands on that.
And I guess my comments to that would be, if everybody is celebrating history or entertainment, to me, it doesn't really matter. I personally, I'm not particularly in favor of passing something regarding just entertainment. I understand there's a reason to do it, to wrap in the host, the people who are hosting those events, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But, I mean, cruel treatment is cruel treatment, or abuse is abuse, whether the purpose of it is to celebrate something or compete or whatever. We wouldn't it's an extreme example and I'm making it up entirely, but if we had dog fighting and someone said, oh, well, I'm celebrating whatever, we'd be like, that's okay, that's still not allowed, right? And so I guess my question, not my question, just my general meandering thought is, we already have a statute that mimics the state statute. Ignoring the entertainment event, why would we not just pursue it? Especially because it seems like there's a consensus at a minimum from the county board that, yeah, that's okay to go ahead and pursue it. You might not have had that information before, but I think that's generally the comment now. So if you got a complaint, there was drone footage, everyone was willing to be a witness, et cetera, would, in your opinion, you have pursued those charges? Wrote at least an ordinance under
I can't see why we would not have.
Okay.
Pam, you had something to say?
And I'm only gonna say, is anybody watch Law and Order? It's not just the law enforcement. It's also what happens when they get to the court to prosecute. And that's another comment that we looked at this, and it was the recommendation of our state's attorney to have a local ordinance specifically incorporating the tailing portion, so that it's abundantly clear at the local level. That's why. Not necessarily just the writing of the ticket, but to pursue it in court so that you get the outcome that we're trying to get. So that's my answer. Yeah.
If there was an animal who was harmed and was not being given veterinary care, that would be another filing right there, another charge.
Right.
Now, whether that would be criminal or an ordinance violation would depend on a lot about the circumstances of it, right?
Of course.
But, so that is not something we've really ever been asked to look at in an event. Really, it's just the detailing that we've asked to watch drone footage of.
Okay.
My one concern, a concern I have, and I would like to imagine that this has already been taken into consideration, but just need to verbally express out loud. I would like to be certain and maybe see the evidence of this, that measures have been taken into account to be absolutely sure that we are not discriminating against certain populations or cultural practices that this might impact. Because I hear what you're saying about that's great, Pam, and I knew you would be able to. I heard what you said about dog fighting, and I know you started this with, I'm gonna make up it's dog fighting week. But we are potentially discriminating against a minority population, and this is part of their cultural upbringing. Now, again, I disagree, to be clear, with the tailing or the language of this, right? But I think that in order to make sure we're doing this in a way that one of the speakers said, we're here to protect all of the animals and all of the people, and I think we have to be careful when we say all of the people, because I just want to make sure that the people who might be participating in these cultural practices understand that this new change could potentially look like we are discriminating against them.
But cockfighting.
But I can
But
answer.
cockfighting is not a cultural practice.
It is.
Oh, it definitely
Is
is.
it?
Definitely
Yeah.
is.
Okay, sorry, I don't see, sorry, okay,
I was actually about to say, like, okay,
And I
instead
think
of
maybe I'm
dogfighting.
sensitive to this because, like, I have family from the Mexican culture, I'm Jewish, like, this is bizarre, but I appreciate, like, I'm not,
It's a great question.
I'm not,
It's a great
I'm not saying that these things are similar, but like, we're talking, like, I'm just curious about it.
So let me go back and tell you one thing. First of all, it's illegal in Illinois, right? Cultural, not cultural, it's illegal, tailing. But number two, it was.
That is illegal?
Yes.
But if it's illegal in Illinois, why are we even talking about
You know what,
this?
let me go
Thank
back, I'll backpedal.
It's not
We
yet.
would assume that the tailing is actually addressed in the current humane care for animals, but it's not. That's why there's a bill that specifically is asking for that definition in the act.
We're trying to make this.
Just to be clear, I don't think detailing is specifically legal or illegal. It's gotta fall in that broader scope of, is it abuse, torment, cruel treatment? And so this is just my personal opinion, you could enforce it under the state statute or the ordinance, right? And then you'd see if it goes to court. What I'm hearing is those people don't always wanna be witnesses, sign a complaint, or do anything to actually enforce it, is the bigger issue. Because I would feel not unconfident bringing a case, especially under the county ordinance, because the burden of proof is lowered to, it's preponderance of the evidence, basically, just more likely than not.
And I'm sorry about the cockfighting thing. Like, again, I think that's what's important. Like, we don't know the cultural relevance. That's what I'm asking to be sure of.
I didn't know Michael Vick was a Mexican. All these years, I just didn't know he was a Mexican.
Dr. Katz, the state's attorney made the recommendation to address the issue specifically in this fashion to assure us that it was not hindering any type of a cultural oversight. So you can ask that question when she is here at your meeting.
Okay.
Ask it directly to them, but they'll explain that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Because I believe the Illinois Attorney General
Can-
had the
can-
same
Marlene.
concern in Boone County.
Okay,
Right,
great.
Can
Marlene, yeah, can go ahead.
Ellen read
I'm
this?
just going to read something from the Illinois Department of Ag website for rodeos. Attention rodeo stock contractors, promoters, and county fair boards. The Department of Agriculture does not license or permit rodeos or similar events. The provisions of the Humane Care for Animals Act apply to companion animals and livestock. Violations of the act are considered criminal offenses and are prosecuted by county state's attorneys. And at the bottom, it goes on to say, if someone believes they have witnessed a violation of the Humane Care for Animals Act, that person should contact local law enforcement to make the report. Local law enforcement generally can advise about how to get a copy of the report and who a report filer can follow up with later. So it is your local law enforcement that's responsible for these types of activities at rodeos.
For the criminal activity.
Yes, yeah.
Mary Ellen, I had a question. It's been a long time since I've been a humane investigator, but they were licensed on the Department of Ag. Is there any reason from an investigation standpoint that those people would be involved in?
So actually, I was glad you asked that question or said that, because all animal control officers are automatically humane investigators. So all animal control officers have a responsibility under the Humane Care for Animals Act, which is why sometimes we start an investigation, and that's why sometimes we assist in an investigation, because we do have some of that specialty that law enforcement may not have.
But could you use those licensed humane investigators, so it's not a burden on the county as part of the permitting, have a humane investigator, licensed
licensed
humane
investigators
investigator.
are not per se employees of
Right.
the Department of Agriculture. You can go to a class, which I've been to the class to see what it's like. It's a one-day class. You take a test, and then you get an equine section, and you take that test, and then you are licensed, and you have to give your reports each year. I would feel much more confident if we use, let's say, Haas, who has humane investigators, and ourselves, who are humane investigators, to work on some of those investigations.
You know, I was thinking being proactive to have somebody on site when they're having the event. I don't know if that's a possibility
Yes,
or
that
not.
is one thing, you were talking about the cost. There definitely would be a cost for animal control, depending on what the process looked like. So we have, our officers work Tuesdays to Sundays, or Mondays to Saturdays, sorry. And so you have maybe 3 or 4 officers on a Saturday and 3 or 4 officers on a Sunday. Well, we work the whole day, right? So I have at least 2 officers who are working 8 to 4:30 on a Saturday. So just imagine 8 to 4:30 on a Saturday. They're going out and doing their things. They do care for the animals on the site as well. So let's say the event is 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I may only have 1 officer. No, I'm not going to say I may. I only have 1 officer who works the late shift. So if we had some kind of responsibility specifically to, because we're not talking about just rodeos, we're talking about animal events, we would need to have somebody we would have to have 2 people on after hours. If you don't remember, we are losing officers because they can go get a job making more money Monday to Friday, not working evenings, not working weekends. So if we were to do this, I would be pushing and recommending that we're giving them overtime to be doing this, because we've got to have some incentive to keep them, and then have them be responsible for something like this that could be not safe, right? There have been situations in which some events have not been safe. You could just imagine if law enforcement or animal control officers had to enter an event. We're not going to shut the event down, but people are going to get worked up potentially about these things that are happening. And so we would have to be safe, and there's some things that go along with being safe. So there's going to be a cost to it, depending on, in the end, what is proposed for animal control to be responsible for.
Do you think that by enacting what they're proposing, that would mitigate most of that?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
In the permitting part of it, with the understanding that goes through, let's just say it goes through and they say no tailing. Well, I'll just use those words, I'm just saying that. If that's the understanding of that, just like food permitting, you can't do this. Do you think that would mitigate it, or you're thinking that they're gonna say, oh, we're gonna do it anyway?
Well, it should mitigate some, but you're still gonna have bad players, right? You're still gonna have people who are gonna do what they want to do. We're not gonna be able to go in and shut it down.
Right.
Right? Even if they were to do it, the enforcement part would probably come by some ticket or something for permitting it, or not permitting it, or doing an activity in which the permit doesn't allow. There would be fines for that.
And so you understand, that was the concern the state's attorney's office had with regard to being discriminatory or focusing in on culture, is that he didn't want language only in the permitting process.
Right.
He wanted it underneath animal control.
Thank you.
And he can explain that 16 times better than I can when he appears before your full board.
We have other board members who are back here who are not, I don't know if those board members didn't want to be at the table, or just.
Oh, no, I think they were here on our behalf.
Okay.
I would only add to that, just to add to that, by having more teeth, by having it within the local ordinance, and there's more consequences if an event goes bad, it does serve as a deterrent going forward. So, I mean, that was just kind of adds to it.
I think there are some people reconsidering some of the events that they're doing. there are times where we have to determine what we're gonna accept in a certain area, a community that we live in. And once we decide that, then there are gonna be people who no longer wanna do some of the activities that they're doing because of that.
All right, so the purpose, like you said, like, it sounds like this amendment is gonna keep, this ordinance is gonna keep changing. And what we have today is not even updated, like you said, there's a few things wrong here.
No, what I'm telling you, again, I apologize. It's pretty much in, you don't have it in writing in front of you, but pretty much in my head is we will take and incorporate, so it's a broader reference to organizations, landowners, leases, et cetera, animal cruelty, but we'll incorporate some of the humane care broader. I know there's some language in our ordinances, but bigger, and stay strictly with that statute. Adding a definition of tailing as per okayed by the Bureau and our state's attorney's office, and then discussion on the 4 exemptions. My amended ordinance presented will include the top 2. The 3 and 4 will be a decision that is made by the full board, as I did not get consensus from any of the committees with regard to those exemptions. And exemptions, it won't just be the county fair, it will also include, as per the request of Dan, the covered milk days as well. And Brian caught that too, so thank you.
Do you not think it's appropriate that once the official language is presented to the health department, that it gets referred back to this committee for consideration before it goes to the full board?
Joe, I can't answer that. It's in front of the county board for a 30-day review. They will make a decision.
The county board's different. I'm talking the Board of Health.
I think what she's saying is it's up for a vote, yes or no, or it can be sent to you guys and continued or whatever, but it is up.
At your level.
Correct, but before.
But she's mentioning that we're gonna magically see this official language at the board meeting our board meeting next Monday. The appropriate procedure for that would be to then refer it back to this committee so that they can meet and discuss the specific language. What the county board does.
For whatever that's worth.
And that can be discussed. What I'm telling you is process though, Joe. It can be, a recommendation can be made by any board member to take that action, and we can withdraw the amendment and not go forward. I can't make that decision, nor can Eric, nor can Carolyn.
Correct,
That's a decision of 18 members. I can't answer. All I can tell you is it's on 30-day review. I am going to present an amendment to the amendment, and I will listen to the conversation. I will also make a comment that if we in fact do pass this, there is ample opportunity to continue to work on this if members of the board, members of the Public Health Board, Farm Bureau members wish to pursue further conversation. We have made that commitment. Whether or not there will be a desire by those bodies will be made by those bodies.
And that's, I think, where that's a difference of opinion that I have. I think there's a lot of legislation that's passed with good intentions and then it's just passed, rashly. It's reactionary legislation. That's why my preferred approach, which I can't control it, right? But my preferred approach would just be spend more time. I don't personally believe there's any reason to do it, especially since we already have the language of the Humane Care for Animals Act in the ordinance currently. I mean, there's nothing stopping. Yes, for entertainment events or something like that, yes, of course, you may not be able to go after the landholder who held the event, but in my mind, there's nothing actually stopping a ticket for being written. So I'd rather have more input, more discussion, whatever, and then if we do something, if we don't do something, if we change it, at least we've had, ample time to have it considered and as well as, having the community's input, broadly. So that's mine. That's just me. It's gonna be on the July county board meeting.
For the cow.
And for the meeting.
The cow comes after our monthly meeting, correct?
No, so the cow is next Thursday. the following Monday, the 20th is our board meeting, the 21st is the county meeting.
Okay, understood.
It would come back to us at least from a notice of violation or fine setting up that part of it.
And
So-
yeah, and quite honestly, I will make sure that the language is my intent is to get it to my board members prior to the committee of the whole, so we can have the discussion we need to have, and they can have the language in front of them. I will also, that will be provided to Melissa, and she can get that out to the board members at the same time. You can see the actual language.
And for whatever it's worth, just because, I know we keep saying it's the official language, that's just gonna be the amendment, the proposal that's on it, but it can always be amended further or what, like at the meeting.
Right. It's parliamentary.
So this ordinance can pass without our input, like you guys could just pass it.
We could, I don't want it to be that way, but yeah, it could.
Alrighty. All right, you guys, okay, I feel like we can move on. I feel like everyone has spoken and said anyone else have any other opinions they'd like to, or questions? But I feel like most people have spoken and said how they feel about it.
I just want to make one more comment. I am not opposed to ordinances in the county under planning, development, zoning that identify who, what, where, and why livestock events are conducted. If you want to pass an ordinance that says every rodeo has to be done at the fairgrounds, I'm okay with that. I'm okay if you, Spring Grove Horse Park, Harvard Milk Days grounds. If you want to pass an ordinance that regulates it that way, and regulates crowd control and fire lanes and restaurant facilities and restroom facilities, have at it. My objection is on to the animal welfare for livestock. I am not condemning. I think our animal control does an outstanding job with companion animals. But when it comes into the arena of livestock, the status quo with the Department of Ag is sufficient with me.
Okay, all right, Sarah, you had something to say?
There were only, you said 4 events last year? There were
4 events in 2025, that was me. A rodeo.
And those were through a permit?
Correct.
So what about all the other unpermitted events?
I just FOIA'd and I asked for what were the permitted events, so it was 2024 was 3, 2025 was 4. And nothing so far as of 3 weeks ago for 2026.
How can we ensure about the unpermitted events?
Only if somebody complained and we went out and investigated, otherwise we don't know.
So we're trying to monitor the people who are actually following permitted rules?
No, we're trying to monitor people who are permitted and not following rules. And following rules, making sure that they're doing it appropriately.
And they only get
But-
permitted for 500, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
500 participants or guests or for it to get permitted. Anything under the 500,
Right.
it does not get
It
permitted.
does not get permitted
Okay.
on private property.
Yeah.
And to your point too, I really did want all of those entities to come to the full board regardless of where we are in the process. So you can ask your questions and you can understand exactly what's going on. I just think the more information you have from the professionals and the expertise, the better off you guys will be. So that's why I pursue it anyway. Just so you do have that info and you can ask the questions and get the answers much better than from,
So we gotta go through this all again next week.
Well, I don't know if I'll be home by then, but I'm in a conference.
All right, well, let's move on to proposed ordinance changes, 4A.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. So Article 1 through 6.
So in the,
We're moving on. So you.
Do we have a lot more to talk about?
I think this next,
Yeah.
No, but thank you, that would be a good guess. I just have
Text me or whatever.
children and
Let's see, wait a minute.
so
Three.
I think we'd still have a quorum.
Yeah, if you leave the.
I know I signed up for this, but
There's enough work.
Okay.
Let's continue.
It wasn't me, you jerk. Yeah, but if you guys come there and you want.
I really don't think
I'll
so.
pay you.
Right.
It could take.
All right, so these are I'd like to continue the meeting and go on to proposed ordinance changes. 4A. Melissa, if you need to go home, you understand? It's okay.
So, to try to be brief, I know we've already been here a long time. So,
I'm far enough away from the camera.
Patty, Mary Ellen, and anyone else who received comments, we have, why we're bringing this back is because we always routinely, as when we're going out for public comment, we're requesting input from the public, so we summarize the input we get. We also bring the ordinances before the state's attorney so that they can do a thorough read, make any additional recommendations about the language or the changes that we are proposing, and then Patty has an additional step that she has to go through IDPH to review it also. So the front of the packet is that summary information about what input we have received, what the recommended language changes from the state's attorney are, as well as IDPH, and public comment that we've received to date. We will continue to receive public comment, and as the ordinances go through, we will update and bring that information to the COW and the county board so that they have, assuming we get more input, whatever is most up to date is what will get moved forward. And then you see in the packet staff responses are in orange if you're looking at it in color about what they recommend, are they recommending a change to you or not?
A point of clarification. What we're discussing here, or what has been identified here in the summary, and with the orange markings throughout the document, is only the changes that are coming back, or is that including everything that we previously discussed?
Yes, it includes everything.
Okay.
Because it's the marked up copy, so it's all encompassing.
Okay, is there a way to identify just the items that were asked to be amended again as a result of staff concerns, or?
You mean by page? That might be a little tough.
So we don't have to go
Yeah, no,
over-
I appreciate it. So the up front, if you want to look at page, starting on page, hold on, I'm going up, back to the top. Starting on page 5.
Okay.
What's the title on that one?
So those are the general provisions. So it's a
Got it.
summary
I'm
of
on it. I'm on it.
proposed ordinance revisions. Sorry, we missed that. It says last updated May 12th, but that's incorrect. It has been updated. So definitions, I don't know, Patty or Mary Ellen, if you want to jump in. I'm trying to think of ones that we could maybe tease out as some examples of obvious changes.
I think we included another sheet that is just a summary of the state's attorney and the Illinois Department of Public Health changes.
Oh, because those are all encompassing changes.
This
Okay,
is all the
yes.
changes
So
go on this sheet.
Starting on page 11, you have the Illinois Department of Public Health review, right?
And
then-
state's attorney.
And state's attorney.
Yes.
Okay.
So those.
That is the list of
So this is what we need to act upon.
Yes.
Yes.
So what page is that to me?
Page 11.
Well, you're going off of a different, yeah. So, it would be grouped with the 4A1 summary of changes.
Okay,
And towards the top.
got it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking at the recommended modifications for the water and sewage treatment disposal. Is that where you are?
Well, it goes through each of the articles based on what has been.
Need to find that page.
Starts with Article 1
Page
through Article
11
4, page.
of the packet.
It should be, online it should be right around, a couple pages before, a couple pages after. It's public health ordinance change per state's attorney in Illinois Department, Articles 1 through 4.
It's page 7 in what you're looking at, I think. Because I see it on page 7. That's the title.
Mine is page 11, so somewhere,
But depending on what we're looking at.
Mine is like,
It says public health ordinance changes per state's attorney and Illinois Department of Public Health review, Article 1, removed irresponsible dog owner definition. Is this what we're looking at?
Correct.
Okay, so it's page 7
Thank
for
you,
some.
you're way down in
you're the weeds.
nope,
Go
no, you went too far.
It's it's a word attachment, summary of ordinance changes.
My phone or somewhere.
Over here. Okay, all right, I found it.
Is everybody
Okay, all right.
clear on where we are?
Yeah.
In the packet.
Okay, so we have, all right, so for Article 1 is what we talked about before, changing the irresponsible dog owner, the definitions of the well. So we just need to review, see if we are going to accept these and bring them to the board. Is that?
Right, these would be the recommended changes that have been incorporated in the red line version that's in the packet. We will bring you a clean copy to the Board of Health in addition to the red line so that you can see. It's easier to read, obviously, a clean copy, but for you to see the changes, we provide the red line copy.
I would suggest that we ask staff if there is, in their opinion, any item that they feel is necessary to point out for our specific attention to then go into the actual document. If not, then I'm comfortable just moving right on through.
Oh, Mary Ellen.
I just have the one.
Okay, go
Because I
ahead.
wanted to make sure you understand. So, you know, a number of years ago, we added in more criteria for the reckless owner, okay? That was accepted. We handled a number of those. The state's attorney we have now, the civil, felt that we needed to stick with just the definition in the state statute.
Okay.
So what I had recommended and brought forward was irresponsible owner and the reckless owner. It has been explained to me that irresponsible owner has the same enforcement items as the reckless owner. And because reckless owner is the state statute, they recommended forgoing the irresponsible dog owner because it was too close to the reckless dog owner. So that is one of the big changes for animal control for Article 6, is removing the definition in Article 1 and then removing it from Article 6.
And you're acceptable to that, correct?
I'm acceptable to that, yes.
So basically, like if someone was, as we said before, an irresponsible dog owner, they would still get fined, but they would not be labeled as an irresponsible dog owner. They would only be labeled if it got down to the dangerous dog owner.
Yes.
Okay.
Or vicious, yes.
Or vicious dog, okay, all right. Okay, all right.
I would say in the environmental health articles, really, it's all clarifications and some streamlining of the process. So nothing really substantive that changes what we're trying to do.
You know us pretty well.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any other comments on the proposed changes?
Same holds true for Article 5, 6, and the changes by the Illinois Department of Public Health recommendations.
Correct.
I do have just one more that I wanted to make you aware of. So there was some conversation around feral cats and why would we need to even hold feral cats for any period of time if we're going to have another disposition for them, such as a barn program or TNR. So I did make that change in there that just feral cats, not unsocialized cats, not potentially adoptable cats, did not have to be held. They could go as soon as potentially possible, right? Because we have to have surgical days into either transfer for TNR or transfer for barn and start that process rolling because they don't have an owner.
Seems logical.
Yeah, it did actually, when they recommended, I thought, oh, that is logical.
I'm good with
And it
that.
would save us, it would be economically feasible for us as well.
It's a feral cat.
Yeah.
So
Oh, Cindy, do you have something?
I would, because I'm 69, we talked about the transition, if more organizations, I would use, instead of new owner, be referred to ASAP to approve organization under McHenry County.
We could say that. We didn't put anything in on the article about that. That was just right now, we have one.
What section are you referring to? What article and?
Article 6.
6.
She's actually referring to specifically the public comments and revision, where we were saying that in our notes on there, that we would refer to ASAP, because ASAP is our only approved organization.
Oh, not on the summary sheet?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's public comment.
Okay.
So you would know.
I thought I was on the summary.
That's the summary of comments.
Yes, that was wrong summary.
And then I just want to make sure everybody understands, so we included every entity that we noticed about the changes, right? Staff does a great job reaching out to the regulated community and anyone who would be impacted. So we really try to outreach so that people can provide comments so that we can bring them back to you for consideration. So we have a laundry list of entities that the ordinances specifically went out to.
Okay.
And other than that, we did put, I don't want to go back to the start of the meeting, but we put the fees, we made those separate just due to the conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that with the.
And we did have one error that got missed in the first go round, which was for temporary
food permits.
Food permits. We had it in our summary of comments, but we did not actually strike it out, so that has been corrected with the updated proposed fees.
Any other comments?
A motion is in order
Right.
from committee member 2.
Yeah. So we need a motion to approve the summary of changes and comments to be brought to the full Board of Health, correct?
Articles 1 through 6.
1 through 7.
No, sorry, 1 through 7.
Seven.
Oh,
One through
wait,
seven,
yeah.
sorry.
It's like,
7.
fees. Throw something at me. Sorry, because we had them separate. I'm reading them
Sorry,
separate.
so it's 6, 7?
Yeah.
6, 7. Ouch. Wow, I can't believe you just did that.
I had to, it's late.
Oh.
All right, do
So
I
1 through 7, please.
do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Second. So this one has no monetary, so we can do an all in favor.
Just turned 67.
Well, there's fees. There's fees.
So are we doing the fees separately?
Oh, I just combined them, but you can, they're technically on the agenda separate, so however you want to do it. But then you have to make 2 motions.
It's your decision.
Oh, well, we've already did the motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, now.
This isn't the fees for the
No,
veterans
we're just,
thing.
no,
Just
a summary
the
of
straight,
changes.
what you have, because we have not altered the fees
No.
regarding veterans, because that was a separate conversation.
We're just doing page 7.
Great.
Okay. All righty, and now for Article 7, fees. About the fee changes that were proposed at the last meeting. Now, were there any changes in the fees since the last time or no?
Yes, that's what Melissa was discussing, is that we had missed some strikeouts, although we had included it in the summary in our presentation.
Okay.
So those have been corrected.
All right. Any discussion on the fees?
Do we say we're waiting to hear with the veterans?
Yeah, that will be at a
That'll be a
different
different-
table at a different time, yeah, because we have nothing to, that was more informational than anything else. Just, she wanted to talk about that without giving us any ordinance to.
No, but I think
Discuss.
some of that is my fault for not providing the information. What I provided to her, I did not provide to you.
Sorry.
But I will provide that and I will get the document that Dina had put
But
together.
that has no impact on this.
No.
No, not right now.
Only if the veterans have a rodeo.
Staff's got their hands full working on that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do I have a motion to approve the fees in Article 7?
So moved. Okay, I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Carolyn. All right, so we will, since it is monetary, we need a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Holyfield?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Gaffney?
Yes.
Dr. Katz?
Yes.
Ms. Carmen?
Yes. All right, I don't think we need executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I have motion to adjourn.
See you later.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Great, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed, meeting adjourned at 9:06 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.